So should we be relabeling robo to digital solutions to keep in line with your Generation D? Is that
Perhaps. There is some thought process on that in the UK and the US. A
Or
lot
we
of
change it to
organisations
Generation
don't
R?
like robo, but the regulators in those countries seem to have adopted it as a term, so I don't know whether it's going to go away.
But I think importantly, alongside that is, I mentioned before we've done some human-centred design work, and we just picked a very standard process of someone moving from the super phase to post-retirement phase, and in the work that we did with consumers in that position, what came out more than anything else was that the if you like, the average customer in that space didn't believe they had enough assets to justify going to see an advisor, or couldn't justify the expense of getting a full financial plan. So how do we make sure that those members are not lost in this process? And that's where we see robo-advice and being able to provide advice to a greater proportion of our membership bases is so important, because you do see people make incorrect decisions without the necessary advice. But it's also got to be scaled advice to what you were saying before, Matt, that is affordable for the members, and delivering that digitally in a compliant way is such an effective way to us to reach a greater level of customers than we wouldn't have been able to do before.
Yeah, we don't like the term robo-advice either. We think of it as, scaled personal advice delivered on digital platforms. So, and certainly the regulator thinks of it that way as well. That's very clear. They don't distinguish between the channel through which the advice is given, and certainly the industry bodies are supportive of that view as well. So that's really an important point in all this. It's definitely not a robot behind this, that's for sure. That's not how we think about it.
Certainly not me. One of the comments I'd make to that is the topics you saw on there are obviously a first tranche of topics, but very quickly the notion of something being digital, whether you want to call it robo or digital, is secondary to the fact that the easy topics, the ones that you would almost incentivise many members to do wholly on their own, they're kind of easy peasy, they'll always be there. There's probably a couple of others. But whether it's TTR by any other name, or especially when you start looking at the really fascinating stuff coming down our pipe around annuities and really revisiting how you want to do account-based pensions and annuities, there's so much you can do online to get a member around that. But no one in this room would be brave enough, and nor would we suggest it, to allow them to technically implement that in one go. So how that works in with a completely new type of advisor in your organisations, ones that you might already have those that are very adept at long-term relationships, and certainly Matt's got those up in Q Invest, and so is Mercer. But a new type of advisor that works hand in hand with that, that's really the exciting new growth of how can the members start here and involve a different type of advisor or a different relationship. And the sooner those terms disappear, the better, because we really are inventing a whole new way of proposing advice to people.
Yeah, and certainly our view is that, our transformational goal is a segment of one, which is a financial plan for every member in our fund is where we want to get to. So that can only be delivered through, digital solutions. It's a personal balance sheet, it's a personal P&L, it's a personal financial plan which evolves over time from the time the member joins us until the time they die. There's a sharing of information through that journey where they're giving us their goals and their objectives and what they're trying to achieve with their retirement. We're taking that information, we're assessing it, we're making recommendations back based on a personal financial plan, a personal P&L, a personal balance sheet. So that's where we see our world evolving to, as I said, that segment of one financial plan, which has to be a digitally powered financial plan.